Good morning, sergeants. Actually, if anybody gets that reference, it is from an old war movie from the 50s, like kind of a comedy POW movie with all American sergeants. And I don't know, but if you get the reference, leave it down in the comments. If you do know it, you're awesome. If not, yeah, you're probably still pretty awesome. But today, we are going to be talking about and doing the full review on this sweet little honey right here, the full-size griptilian, the 551-1, which is the 20, oh, this side, 20 CV version. Focus. Actually, I gotta try and keep this video under, I think, 16 minutes because this is my second time filming it and ran out of storage on my phone. Just deleted some stuff, made some room, but I don't know. Just to keep it from going on because I think my first impressions was like 25 minutes, and I'm really trying to work on the rambling and such. Also, before we get into the review, I just want to take a brief moment. I did mention my buddy Dave's channel in the last video, but I completely forgot on a bonehead move on my part. I didn't even mention the name of it. So my buddy Dave is my best friend. This kid is my brother. I've known the kid for like 20 years, but he's given my channel a bunch of shout outs and stuff, and I've mentioned his channel a couple times, but I just really want to again. I love this kid, but he does video game reviews, but mainly with the Switch. But he does like unboxings, he does live plays, he does reviews. He talks about what's coming up, like different gear and equipment you can get, and it's cool because a lot of the games on the Switch, from what I understand, are games that come from original like your Xbox and PS, whatever they're on now, and 360 and whatever. And I don't know, Dave, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Please correct me in the comments. I have no idea what's coming out now, but he does really good jobs. And I kind of mentioned this before in the other video, whatever. But he does awesome graphics and editing. He, like, even his first video, you would think he'd been doing it for years. Like, he's on point with all this stuff, and it's very entertaining. You know, the way he is in the videos is the way he is in real life. He's very animated guy. Like, I don't know how to really describe. You just have to watch the videos, see for yourself. But his channel name, which is what I forgot last time, is Sandbox Explorer. Sandbox Explorer, and that's with two X's. So it's like Sandbox and like XXPLORER. But please look him up. I implore you, I encourage you, because he's awesome. Even if you're not into gaming, I'm not really into gaming, but I love watching his videos because they are very entertaining, and you do learn some cool stuff. All right, so getting in with the griptilian. Now, I did the first impressions about 2 months ago. It was like a half hour after I got it, so it's been a little over 2 months now, and I absolutely love this knife. There's really honestly not really much negative to say. I have been carrying this pretty much non-stop up until like a few days ago when I got the Contago. And I did the first impression on that. If you want, you can check that out. And then I'll probably be carrying that pretty much non-stop until I do the full review on that as well, probably a couple months from now. But this will just quickly go through, in case you didn't watch the original video, the first impressions. We'll just go through the specs. We'll get the boring stuff out of the way. So the overall length on this is just over just over 8 inches. I mean, it might be like 8 inches and a 32nd, or it's 8 inches. The blade length. Now, if you measure from the middle point of the blade, it's about 3 3/8. But the handle, actually, where it curves down, so right where the little choil and the edge starts, it is just under 3.5 inches, but your actual cutting edge is 3 3/8. So, which is good because that means in many areas this will be legal to carry. I know we always like to discuss that. Just check your local laws. But many places it's 3.5 inches or below. So even at the longest point of the blade, you're still going to be in the safe zone there. But and just for kicks and giggles, we're looking at just under 4 3/4 of an inch for the handle length. Now, this knife, it is super smooth. It is definitely smoothed up since I've gotten it, now that it's broken in, and I did disassemble it after I got it. Played with the pivot a bit, because one thing I noticed is the blade was a little off center. It's definitely a little bit better now, so you can kind of get a better look of it there. helped it a little bit, but I mean, I've mentioned in other videos, and especially in this one, as long as the blade isn't rubbing or just, obnoxiously off center, it really is not a problem for me. But it's just something I know some people are more particular about, so that's just why I like to mention that. Other thing too, the other like slight negative, which is actually no longer a negative, but when I first got it, just had a little bit with the lock stick. Isn't an issue now anymore. I just think from throwing a little bit of oil in there, but then also I fidget with these constantly. If you've watched more than one of my videos, I'm sure it probably drives you nuts. It drives my girl absolutely nuts. Always just playing, just flicking the knives open and closed. But it has been cured, so it's no longer that. So the only slight negative with it is just that little blade being off center. So take that for what you will. Just like to mention it. And this thing is it's a cutting beast. It's 20 CV steel. So if you're not familiar with 20 CV, it is very similar to M390 by Bowler, or Carpenter makes the CTS 204P. If you look up, like I have a knife steel app, but if you look up, like knife charts comparing the steels, they're virtually the same. They're like 95% the same steel. A few little differences, but between the three, their carbon, chromium, and vanadium content are equal, on point. And then there's like some stuff like M390 has a little bit more silicon in it than the 20 CV, but whatever. It's the same steel basically. Same recipe, similar amounts. What's cool about this is that 20 CV or M390 or 204P it's kind of like it has like almost all the best qualities. I mean, there are multiple things in a knife steel, different attributes, but the main ones that just us regular folk look for are edge retention, stainlessness, and toughness. And usually it's kind of a pick two, and that's what you'll get if you want something that's really stainless and really good edge retention or whatever. But this has, I think, Pete from Cedric and Ada put it really well. Is just it's like a B in all categories, So it has pretty damn good edge retention. It is pretty stainless compared to most other stainless knives, and it is decently tough. I did sharpen this right after I got it. It is just having to do with the toughness. I did sharpen this after I did that video, and I am a moron. While I was cleaning it in my garage, the blade dropped right onto the cement floor. And yeah, I mean the edge definitely took a hit, but I was able to strop it. I mean, I spent a considerable amount of time stropping it, but it took like 85% of that damage out. Now I haven't sharpened it since, and you can feel it. You can barely feel it. It's like right about here on the blade. You just feel like just a little like doo doo, but it's almost non-existent now. Because I mean, I've also from using it, I've stropped it several times, but I haven't had to sharpen it. And I've done, of course, the typical stuff, cutting cardboard, and then for fun, I'll do like the zip ties, just seeing like, oh, how well will it cut wire? I mean, I have a multi-tool, I'll use those if I have to cut wire. Not that I have to that often, but it's just, I just like to see what the steel can do, how well it'll hold up. With the exception of like cardboard, opening like those blister packs and stuff. Oh my god, I completely brain farted. But a lot of what I've been using this for has been food prep. One of the things I love cutting up is just like tomatoes. You're making sandwiches or whatever. I'm half Italian. You gotta throw tomato and garlic into everything. But this does really well. I mean, yeah, it's a 3.5-inch blade, so you're not gonna be, cutting up sweet potatoes very easily with it. But I mean, you can. You just have to come at it from a couple sides. But it's held up really well. And even with having, a saber grind and a saber grind, compared to a flat or especially a hollow grind, maybe they're not as slicey. But you do definitely get, having that more metal behind the edge definitely makes it a little bit stronger. But when I did sharpen it, I brought it in a little bit. I'm not sure what the exact degrees. I don't have an angle finder thing. I would like to get one at some point. But I pretty much stuck with the factory bevel, which was actually pretty even. It was consistent on both sides. That's one thing with all my Benchmades I've never had an issue with. I've had a little bit with, the blade centering or lock stick, but their edge angles, for me at least, has always been consistent. But I did that, and I was like, I just wanted to bring it in just a little bit more. So whatever their factory edge angle is. I'm just using as an example. Say it's 20 degrees. It's probably at like 18 now or something. I just brought it in a little bit more than what it was at, just because I just like a little more slicing ability, and I feel very confident that it will continue to hold up with that. It has. I mean, I dropped it on my concrete. Now, I didn't like whip it at the ground, but I knocked it off of the table, and it just felt edged first down onto the concrete, and it was fine. And now it's almost non-existent just from stropping. That being said, it has definitely helped with the cutting ability a little bit, but I don't think it was really that bad to begin with. I did cut a little bit of stuff with it before I had sharpened it, but it's just held up very well, and it's cool too because I always wash off the blades, and being very stainless, it's held up fine. Like, I don't worry too much if like a little water runs into the handle, because usually I'm like, oh man, I gotta get some oil in there, but this is not something I really am worried about with that. And it's been very good, and it's smoothed up very well. I really, really enjoy this knife a lot, and the handle, I still find it to be as comfortable as I did before. I know when I had first gotten it, I had talked about, I had looked at it at the Army Navy store a few times and played with it, but, actually having it and using it a lot more, I still find it to be just as comfortable. They have done a really good job with it, especially the clip, because I know in my other video I had mentioned the steel wheel resident, which I do love that knife, but it is the deep carry, a full deep carry. This one here, about 1/8 of an inch poking up over the clip, but with the resident, it's like a 90-degree bend right off, so it just really digs into like the fat of your hand. This here, I mean, yeah, it is a little bit lower, but it's rounded off, so you feel it in your hand, but it's not like while you're using it or cutting with it. You can bear down on it, and it's not, putting holes in your hand. And I do like that. So, it doesn't have the hot spots with it. But the handle is very comfortable. I mean, it's a very neutral handle, really. They don't really have the ridges and anything like that, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I feel like for most people, these more just straight handles, you get more people with different hand sizes to find them comfortable or worth using. Even my girl I had mentioned in other videos, and especially in this one, she carries the mini grip. That was the older one, the 154 CM. They do now make them in 20 CV. Well, they do also too. They make this version in the mini grip too, but they make them now in S30V. And this one, she did like it, holding it. I mean, it's larger than the other one, but for her, it was just, it was a little heavier, because I believe this weighs about right around 4 ounces. But, if she ever wanted a bigger knife, I'd probably just get her a regular griptilian, but an S30V, so she could have a larger knife, and it definitely would be a little bit lighter. The G10 definitely will add a little bit of weight there, but they've done a really good job, and, in interest of not rambling or running out of video again, still have a couple more minutes, but this knife, I've really found it to be very suiting or fitting of my needs. It even not like I'm gonna be continuously always doing the first impression follow-ups or whatever. I can't be buying knives like that all the time, but for the most part, I really just review knives that I've had for a couple years or a year or whatever. But so this is something that I will find myself throwing in my pocket a lot. I just already know, just because it just fits a lot of uses, and it doesn't look very threatening. It's not like, the Contago, which just looks like, to show you, I mean, this thing just looks like, you just look at this and be like, oh my god, what's his intention? This is something, you can bust out, feel like at work or whatever. No one's gonna be like, oh my god, it's a terrorist. It just doesn't really have that view. I mean, maybe to some people it's like, oh my god, it's a knife. If it's not a Swiss Army knife, why are you carrying it? But whatever, screw those people. They're ignorant. But no, but that's what I like about it too. And I know some people don't really dig the painted clips. I do. I think, when they kind of wear it, adds like a characterness to them. This hasn't worn a ton. It's actually held up pretty well. A few spots in the front where it bumped into things on the side, but that isn't an issue for me at all. But I don't know, guys. I really hope you do like this review. I hope, if you have this, I hope to hear from you what your thoughts, or just any griptilian in general. A mini, a full, whatever. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And please remember to keep carving, stay sharp. And remember, too, please like, comment, share, subscribe. If you want, please check me out on Instagram at Gnarly Knives. And you can kind of get ideas of, it's all the other stuff I do. I'll post, like, sometimes, oh, this will be upcoming. Or if you just go all the way back through, you can see different stuff I've worked on and so on and so forth. Or just different knives in my collection. And if you do, if there's a knife I haven't reviewed or something yet, but I have it, just throw a comment on it. I'll see it. Be like, oh, can you do one on this or whatever? Eventually I will hit all my knives, but there's a lot. It's going to definitely take a while, but it's a good thing, though. It gives me a lot of room for a lot of videos. But you guys, please enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you next time. Peace.